Hello humans, I'm Poofoo, and welcome to my first and probably only discussion video. So, this is semi-thought out, hence the disconjointed in the title. I've been seeing a lot of people on the internet talking about Xenoblade Chronicles 2. As they should, because it is a very, very good game. It is well balanced. It's a good sequel to the original. And herein lies the main beef of this discussion. It's the as good as the original part that I want to talk about. Because it definitely is as good as the original as someone who's played the game. The problem is that people compare it too much to the original. And what I mean by that is that people take points from both games that just kind of don't compare well, because these two games send very different messages. Let's start off with the motivations of the first game. In the first game, oh yeah, by the way, this is going to be spoilers. This is going to have spoilers for both the first game and the second game. Probably not too heavy of spoilers, but spoilers, so be wary. In the first game, you play as Shulk, and he is a very good protagonist. And his motivations are very different from Rex, in that he starts off wanting to get revenge on the Mechon for killing Fiora, who was his childhood friend slash not necessarily lover at the beginning, but his potential love interest. Or at least Fiora's. Fiora had a crush on him at the beginning, blah blah blah. And it starts off because Shulk was fueled by anger at the very beginning of the game. And it was sort of cliche at the beginning, but it was played out in such a way that it still felt fresh. So we'll give it a pass. And compare that to the beginning of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was never a tale about revenge. And it never has, and never will be. Whereas Xenoblade Chronicles will always, in the majority of its story, be a tale of revenge. Because Shulk, from the beginning of the game to incredibly late game, Shulk and Ryan and Sharla and Dunban and all the other members of the party, they want revenge on the Mechon for what they did. Mostly Shulk, the vast majority of the party in Xenoblade 1 want revenge on the Mechon. Yeah, but anyway, and in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, it was never about revenge. Compare Fiora's death. When I'm talking about not comparing things, I'm comparing things. But for the purposes of this video, you kind of have to. Because I'm comparing them to prove the point that you shouldn't compare them. Compare Fiora's death to Vandam's death in Xenoblade 2. Even after Vandam died, Rex never wanted to get revenge on Malos. Whatever. Rex never wanted to get revenge on him, because him and Akos and basically the rest of the members of Torna were the cause of Vandam's death. Like, he died because of them. And yet, he never wanted to get revenge. He was never like, oh, Malos, you killed my mentor. It's time for you to die. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my mentor. Prepare to die. Well, yeah, I changed the line a bit, but whatever. If you get the reference, you get the reference. Anyway, after Vandam's death, Rex never wanted to get revenge. His sole focus was still on getting Pyra and Mithra to Elysium, which just shows how different Shulk and Rex are as characters, because Shulk was heavily driven by revenge, whereas Rex was more so driven by his promise to Pyra and Mithra. And trying to think about how to go about continuing this discussion, and it's just okay, so damn it, I had it in my head. Well, this is what editing's for. Fuck, where was I going with this? Yes, and there we go. And therein lies the main message of each game. Because in the first game, it was about getting revenge, and then later on, controlling your destiny. Doing what you wanted to do with your life, and not letting some other cosmic force or whatever else in the world tell you what you should or should not be, or should not do. That was the whole point of Shulk and the gang. Heavy spoilers here. That was the whole point of Shulk and the gang fighting Zanza at the end. Whereas in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, it has a much different message and a much different meaning, because the story of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is more about moving on and growing up and finding your way in the world via what's given to you, as opposed to fighting for what's potentially there or not there in the way of your destiny, quote unquote. So Shulk and Rex are fighting for very different things. The characters in both games are fighting for very different things. And it's just, you can't really compare them, because the two games have two very different meanings. And I'm talking about comparing them story-wise. Like, if you want to talk gameplay-wise, I think Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has a much better interface, because everything is literally at your fingertips, as opposed to the first game where you had to scroll over to everything. But otherwise, like, visually they're similar. I mean, the voice acting could use a little work in both games. It's more the lip syncing I have a problem with in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but even when you ignore that, the voice acting is pretty good. Rex was an okay voice actor. He couldn't do angry, which is good, because he was never really all that angry throughout the game. He was more so giving passionate speeches, and if you saw the scene where he thought that Gramps died, Rex's voice actor can definitely pull off sadness. Like, I didn't tear up, but my eyes got a little moist at the scene where Rex was crying over Gramps' quote-unquote death. So, yeah, but otherwise, we're talking story here. And in the end, Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2 are different enough, like, they're similar enough for you to enjoy both games, but they're also different enough so that you shouldn't consider them as, how should I say this? You shouldn't make too many comparisons story-wise for Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade 2, because, as I've said, their core messages are incredibly different, and their main quest is just different too, because Xenoblade Chronicles 1 in the beginning was never about saving the world, whereas in the second one, Rex that was Rex's main goal, to find Elysium to save humanity and and I guess the Gormati are subspecies of human. I don't know. Like, I don't really know how cat people would come about via evolution. Would they have started off as cats and then evolved into more human-like states? Or were they started off as humans and then further evolved to get cat-like features so that they could better survive in Gormott? I don't know. Whatever the case, Klaus just recreated evolution, so that's a thing, technomancy, but anyway. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Like I said, disconjointed. But I think I've at least given my stance enough so that you guys can see why I don't think the Xenoblade Chronicles versus Xenoblade Chronicles 2 thing should even be a thing. So, yeah. I need to work on saying, so yeah, I need to work on ending these videos better. Need to work on these, need to work on my voice, I need a lot of work. But, anyway, thank you guys so much for listening to this video. If you liked it, do whatever the fuck you want. I'm not your mom, I can't control you. Bye.